All right, how's it going, guys? So, a little bit of a little bit of a different thing right here. I'm gonna do a week one summary of the off season for IPA. So just the off season, nothing crazy. So I'm not sure if I'll do very many of these, but I was actually thinking it'd be kind of cool for me to do these for the regular season of IPA. So I thought it'd be cool, get a little bit of practice with doing this right here, see if it turns out well. You'll see right here in the challenge brackets right here, you can't see the top one or the bottom one, but those people haven't actually played their games, so all the games you can see right here, literally the only important ones right here. So I kind of want to go over them, kind of a brief summary. So the first one right here, an interesting game. We got Wilder. Wilder bringing a pretty wild team right here. We've got the Veil. We've got the Volcarona. Those are the things that stand out right here. It's an interesting team. I do like it. I mean, I like a lot of the things on the team. I like Zygarde. I like Mawile a lot. I like Volcarona a lot. Not a huge fan of the Finny. I definitely don't agree with the Finny. The Finny's not when you've got stuff like Volcarona, stuff like the Veil thing. The Veil thing. Not when you got stuff like this. I'm not a huge fan of the Finny as your defogger. But what can I say? But anyways, this team right here, you'll see his fire resist is dodging Fire Blast. So Volcarona wins from team matchup. Like, unless it, like, the only, like, saving grace is if it's, like, Scarf Greninja with Rock Slide, which by team, like, looking at the team right here, I would assume that that's Scarf Granite, and then, I don't know, maybe Z-Move Kartana or something. I'm not sure. But the point is, it kind of looks like it should be Scarf Granite by the kind of matchup right here, just because of how weak to Volcarona it is. But we end up seeing that it's not, so we'll just go into it right here. So we get it gets the Quiver Dance up on the Volcarona, on the Magearna, as you see right there, is all it can do is go for the Volt Switch. We see the Greninja come in, and we see right here it's not Scarf, goes for the Water Shuriken, and that's obviously not going to be enough damage. He needed crits, he needed 5 hits, he needed stuff like that to do it. So Greninja basically got rid of all that damage. Magearna comes in, that's just another Quiver Dance, gets to Orlando, Hidden Power Fire. He's going to dodge the Fire Blast with Kartana. Probably safer to have gone for Fire MZ right here, or just Hidden Power Ice twice if he was afraid of like missing or something, because like as obviously you see right there, he lived it, but he saved his Fire Imp, so if he missed twice, it would be a little bit annoying. But he has the Ferrothorn, which it beats all three of them like 1v1 anyways. So yeah, he's just going to finish off the game right there. So yeah. It was a very straightforward game. It was Volcarona clicked Quiver Dance and things died. That's literally the summary of the entire game. So that's something, if you go against Wilder in the future, you have to know he's got in his arsenal. He's got Veil, he's got Volcarona. So don't like a lot of teams are like extremely weak to Volcarona and don't even realize it. So like that's very easy to say, I guess, right there. So yeah, the big thing is, Volcarona exists. And if you're going against Wilder, you have to have that in the back of your mind. That plus obviously Veil as well. It could be like setup spam as well, because we've got the Veil. But like it's weird because it's like setup spam with Finny and Ferrothorn. So I'm not a huge fan. Because I would just like look at these two right here, because these two benefit from the Veil a lot. So obviously so does Volcarona, but like the last two mons seem a little bit out of place. But that was the game. After that we've got Brett versus Zach. Brett kind of an interesting looking team. Kind of reminiscent, I think, of early Gen 7, if I would have to say. I think Keldeo was a lot more popular back then. Charizard was a lot more popular back then as well. Sorry, early Gen 7, meaning non-Ultra Sun and Moon, to be more specific, like just Sun and Moon. Because like I said, Keldeo was a little bit more, I personally think Keldeo was a little bit more prevalent. Charizard was a little bit more prevalent as well. Charizard Y at the very least, because I believe Dougie was still a thing back then. But anyways, team's pretty annoyed by Toxapex, and he brought a team that's actually pretty weak to hazards without really kind of sufficient removal. I guess you could say like yes, it could be Defog Tapu Koko, but it's actually Taunt Tapu Koko, so I'm not sure if he ended up bringing Defog. So it's pretty interesting. In this game, though, to be honest, Zach had a lot of trouble kind of muscling through, like, Celesteela. Like, what does he really do against her here? Like, sure, he has Coco, but Coco can only really do so much. And, like, even less than that would kind of factor in things like Sandstorm damage, Leech Seed damage, and, like, getting whittled by that really, really quickly. And when you consider that if you bring Coco into a Leech Seed with Sand Up, Celesteela can just protect versus Coco, then you've got even more damage. It gets whittled down really, really quickly. And, like, without Coco, the best Zach can really do is like burn it with Toxapex, try to chip it down with T-Tar Stone Edge. Like, even his own Celesteal isn't really the best option here, because, like, it has to be dealing with stuff like Flamethrower and Leech Seed, and with the Charizard in the back. So it just gets really annoyed pretty quickly. It ended up being Celesteal just stalled out, like, literally everything. You'll see, as I mentioned before, hazards are very annoying. He gets hazards up, and he is not able to get rid of these hazards. But you'll see right there, that's as much damage as you can do with T-Tar, 43% you'll see, and he's able to heal essentially all of that off with Leech Seed. Like, he's back to 91%, and that's essentially Rock's damage. That's like essentially Rock's damage. That's even less than just Rock's damage. So he actually ends up, when you think of it, Celesteela legitimately healed on Tyranitar. Like, he end up having more health than he entered the battlefield with, which is very interesting. And then, you know, you've got stuff like Coco. Sure, you're going to poison the Tangrowth, but you can only take so much. Like, he has to keep Volt Switching because he's going to keep taking sand damage. And then what's he going to do? Go into Kartana. Kartana doesn't really do anything to Tangrowth. Like, you see, it does a significant amount of damage. He's even got the Hidden Power Fire, which is interesting. That's going to be kind of nice for the Scizor. And he ends up sacking this here, which is kind of an interesting thing. I suppose I could say it's a pretty interesting thing, but like I said, at the end of the day, he just basically stalls out the Toxapex. You'll see Celesteela basically just never switches. He just never switches, and then he ends up winning with this. I think what happened was he missed. What did he do? He missed Leech Seed or something. There's something happened where like he was going to be a little bit higher. There's a Hydro Pump, so there goes Celesteela. When did Celesteela take damage? Yeah, he misses the Leech Seed here on that, which is, I guess, a little bit annoying, because he could have Leech Seeded and then protected and stuff like that. Oh, and he goes for the knockoff instead of the Flamethrower. Okay, so that was a bit of an unfortunate play, but, like, he still has Zard in the back, and Zard wins, so, like, he's able to just, like, Celestia just stalls everything out, and then Charizard comes in. Because, like, once you get rid of, like, the Tyranitar, like, what's this team doing to Charizard? So, like, you'll see right here, Charizard comes in, it's at 50%, but that's not really much of an issue. He goes for the Dragon Dance, and, like, what's Scizor gonna do? I think he roosts here, and then the Scissor's like, oh, fuck. Shit. So, like, yeah, like, what's the Scizor gonna do right here? He's got Knockoff. We already saw Knockoff earlier, so this is pretty risk-free. He's not, like, risking, I don't know. Like, what could he even have? Like, Superpower, right? So, yeah, it's not even that much of a risk. He's able to take out the Pex quite easily, and then, obviously, finish off the rest of them. So that's basically all that happened in the game. Zard, Coco, that's something that Brett seems to be a fan of. That's something Brett's been a fan of earlier as well. I know I played a lot of games with Brett for fun and ladder where we like using Zard Coco, so it's pretty fun. Brett seems to be a major advocator for no hazard removal with Charizard, so that's something to keep in mind as well going against him. We've got a very, very fun game right here. I actually really think this is a very cool looking game. You don't often see Crawdaunt outside of Trick Room. To be more specific, I think you don't ever see Crawdaunt outside of Trick Room, so a lot of respect for that right there. Even stuff like Xurkitree isn't really that common, so like I said, I got a lot of respect for the team that we have here. It's a fun team. The game was kind of interesting. We saw some interesting things like Bulk Up Bulu, Sub Bulk Up Bulu. You'll see right here the Crawdaunt really didn't do that much. He's going to Volt Switch into the Crawdaunt right here, and he's just going to go for the Stone Edge, and it's going to do a lot. And then I think Crawdaunt actually goes for the knockoff right here, expecting the Tangrowth. But it doesn't work out for him, and he ends up basically losing his. A real man goes for Pursuit right there. What a bitch! But he ends up losing that. But anyways, it takes out Skarmory with a crit, which is kind of cool. The Magearna is actually really good versus him, now that you think of that as well. Gonna sack off the Tyranitar. We'll see the, where is it? Sub Bulk Up Bulu. Yeah, I said we got the sub, we got the Bulk Up. Hidden Power doesn't break the sub on this turn, yeah. So it's a roll, if I'm not mistaken, because I broke it that first turn. Gonna keep going for Bulk Ups and stuff. We got the Mew in right here. He's only at +1, so it's not an incredible, he's not incredibly behind. The fact that he goes for a Bulk Up that turn means the Mew is pretty safe. Just go straight for the Wisp, which is exactly what he does. Horn Leech doing very little. That's actually a crit. That's a crit. That's a crit Horn Leech, and it does 30%, so not really that threatening. Like I said, Bulu not threatening at all, actually. He's completely disrespecting the Bulu, just goes for rocks. Then he U-turns back into Mew, because like I said, 27%, 27% of +3 is it's really not that much. Technically it's technically it's +4, but with an Intimidate, right? But so yeah, it's doing very, very little damage, and Mew's able to just kind of beat this down 1v1, go for some Intimidates, go for some U-turns, get some Agirna back in. Goes into Crawdaunt, hoping it's faster. That's kind of interesting. And then we end up kind of going for the last turn, not last turn, but the Hail Mary kind of Calm Mind with Latios, which is interesting. But he can't really with the burn and with stuff like Fake Out, he can't really kind of muscle past he can't really muscle past the being whittled effect, I suppose. Because like I said, like you've got burn working against you, and then you've got stuff like Fake Out that kind of take advantage of that burn. He's actually not able to take out the Lopunny with the Scarf Dazzling Gleam. So yeah, interesting game right here. Definitely an interesting team. Gareth likes to bring some interesting teams. So a little bit of an unpredictability factor. So if you're going against Gareth, I wouldn't really recommend trying to like look at his replays to see, oh, what do I think he's going to bring, because he's got a bit of an unpredictability factor to him. I would say still a fun game to watch, I would say. Now this is my game. I'm probably going to first of all I'm going to switch sides so you see it from my perspective. But I'm probably going to make my own video on this where I go over the actual battle in kind of in length, I suppose. It's a fun game. This is actually in Sun and Moon, it's a sample team from Sun and Moon, not Ultra Sun and Moon. It was actually a really shitty sample team, so I just took the mons and I fixed it. Like it had stuff like Scarf, Recover, Defog, Draco Meteor, Latios. It had a bunch of other random shit that I just didn't like, so I had to fix a lot of the stuff. But it's a pretty fun team. I definitely enjoy it. I said before, Tapu Fini in this day and age is kind of gross. I'm not a huge fan of it right now. But I am definitely a huge fan of the Zard Coco pairing together. It's very fun to use them both. I like them both. Zard, I think, is a little bit underrated right now in the current meta. Actually pairs up pretty nicely versus his team. Like, I get he has the Toxapex and he has Grassy Terrain support, but even with that, we just have to play a little bit smart. So you'll see right here, I'm just once I kind of get rid of the once I get rid of the Bulu, then Charizard's able to kind of do a lot of work. So you'll see right there. Kogo dies to a Stone Edge, but we get the Electric Train up, so I'm able to go into Zard. With Electric Train up, Toxapex isn't really that good of an answer. I'm able to Flare Blitz. Still does a lot of damage. 31% is a lot of damage. Fire off the Earthquake right here. Getting up Hazards is definitely good versus the team, because Finny is very, very pressured to defog. But you'll see in this turn right here, we just straight up kill the Tapu Bulu, which is super nice. And then later we get the... Later on, we get the Charizard in again with a U-turn on the Toxapex. He has no way of stopping the Grassy Terrain, fire off an Earthquake, and then finish up, followed up with a Dragon Claw right here. Super nice, you'll see. And then later on, again, we are going to get up the... we're going to get, what's it called? We're going to get us into Charizard on a Celesteela. Not this turn, he makes a good double, but later on in the turns, where is it? Heal up Jirachi. Yeah, we wish pass into Charizard right here. I believe he calls that again, I would say. Yeah, he's got it. Dragon Claw doesn't kill at this range, for all you wondering why I didn't just go for that. And where's the turn? Yeah, this is the turn. So pretty cool right here. U-turn on the Steela, and I go into Latios on his Leech Seed, and then I'm going to go out into Charizard on the Protect, and that works out. And now... what does he go into? He can't go into Zygarde because I Flare Blitz and then Dragon Claw and that dies. He can't go into Diancie or Gren because those both get wrecked anyways, even with the resistance. So after that, it's fairly straightforward. We have a good Diancie answer with Jirachi. We have, and Jirachi actually beats his Gren because it's Scarf. It's just a Scarf non-Pulse Gren, if I'm not mistaken. So yes, but Jirachi is going to beat it. The Zygarde's a little bit threatening. We do have HP Ice. HP Ice Landorus. I end up sacking the Zard, which is a little bit of a bad play right there, but what can I say? And then, like I said, we end up winning with the Latios. So, fun game right here. If you want to know what team I use, you can find it probably on one of the old sample team threads. So that's probably where I get some of my. That's probably where I get a fair amount of my teams, anyways. I like to bring a lot of random stuff as well, so I guess there's a bit of an unpredictability factor for me there as well. But going on, I suppose, we've got our boy Michael versus Chowd. And this was a fun game. It actually came down to like literally a 50-50. I'll go to it because how like Michael brought a team super weak to Volcarona, so you'll see he got the Swords Dance up. He got a couple Swords Dances up because he went into Landorus first. No Flame Body, so he goes out into Landorus again. Technically, he could have went for Swords Dance again if he really wanted to. He probably should have, honestly. He probably should have just went for Swords Dance there again anyways. But yeah, this was the 50-50. My boy Chowd did some calcs. My boy Michael did not do some calcs. So Chowd found out that Latios actually gets O-Code from the +2 attack. But it doesn't get O-Code from +1 attack. So Chowd's like, well, if we're being honest here, the play is to sack Landorus, get the Intimidate, then come back in Latios, right? Because he can't go straight into Landorus because then he'll just Swords Dance again. So he's like, okay, so Michael is going to go into Landorus, get the Intimidate off, and then go into Latios. So I'm going to Swords Dance. And Michael's like, yo, fuck it, boy, we just clicked Draco Meteor. So that's exactly what happened. So, I mean, it's a 50-50, so, like, I'm not going to say anything against, the play right there, because in a sense, it really was a raw 50-50, so I'm not going to say Michael just didn't calc anything. I'm going to say it is a 50-50, and we are going to leave it at that. But after this, we actually see some fire. If you ever want to see fire, watch one of Michael's games. Let me see. Yeah, so Volt switches out on the Heatran, brings in the Latios, and unfortunately, lucky for Michael, he doesn't get burned. If he got burned right there, that would be such a bad turn. Because Levitate, Misty Train, right? Levitate, you're levitating on it, so you don't get burned. So, if you got burned right there, that would be super sad for him. But anyways, we bring in the Latios, we Dragon Dance. We reveal the Draco Meteor, and then we Dragon Dance. That's where we're going. And then we reveal the Psyshock. So Dragon Dance, Psyshock, Draco Meteor, and Earthquake. Oh my god. It's actually beautiful, because he ends up just straight up winning with it. He got the +1 attack, so he's going to be able to take out the Diancie. No speed die, he just outspeeds the Diancie. Very nice. Heatran comes in. -2 special attack doesn't matter when you have +1 Earthquake. So, yeah, that was definitely a game. That was probably one of the funnest games to watch. I think a lot of people kind of forget about this game, but this game was super fun. We had a raw 50-50. We had a mixed Dragon Dance sweeper set that just swept. So that was a really fun game to watch. I was really entertained by that game. Then the last game, we got an interesting team. Interesting games right here. Like I said, pretty cool teams. We got kind of pincer hyper offense versus some kind of Lati-Tran balance. Veda brought Trick Room Diancie. Very, very cool set. The Trick Room doesn't really support anything else right here. It's actually Hidden Power Fighting, which is kind of funny. I think he believed it was Hidden Power Fire, which is a fair assumption. I probably would have made that assumption as well, so he goes into Greninja. But yeah, he doesn't do that. And you'll see right here, kind of a lot of things. So we got the Gren that's getting chipped away. We've got the Bulu that's getting chipped away and ends up dying. So yeah, we got the Trick Room up. He's able to kill that right there. Goes to Lottie and then doubles out, hoping he has Flare Cannon on the Heatran, but it's just Flash Cannon, so he's going to go for it. He goes into Lance right here, trying to bait out the all-out pummeling, which he does. He does bait it out, but it still does a lot of damage. So he took 56%. And then he goes into, He goes into Heatran, hoping he goes for Ice Beam, but he goes for Focus Blast. So, Megirna able to bring Landers down to half and kill, Heatran, and, there's a bunch of other stuff that's weakened. So right now, like, Megirna is looking in a really good position to win, Zygarde could be in a fairly good position to win, because like I said, Landorus is fairly weakened. Pinsir is looking to be in a very good position to win. All it has to do is click Swords Dance on Landorus, and it wins, essentially, because this is weakened. This dies to +2. If this is Scarf, it still dies to +2 Quick Attack, because we have Rocks up. So yeah, very interesting right here. Fire Blast does a shitload of damage. Look at that, +1 special attack. That's crazy how much that does. But anyways, gonna kill him off with a Rocky Helmet, which is kind of cool, and then essentially we just win with Megirna, which is pretty cool. Or actually we don't. I guess not. Okay, well I guess we win with Pinsir. It doesn't really matter though. I guess he didn't have third game. What did he have? Flash Cannon, Focus Blast, Ice Beam. Was it Ice Beam? Did we see? I don't remember if we saw Ice Beam. Trick Room, Flash Cannon, Focus Blast. I don't know. But the point is, he was able to pull the W with Pinsir. Like I said before, though, Pinsir won the second you killed. Where was it? What turn did Pinsir win? I think, essentially, like, turn 10 turn 11. Yeah, I guess, yeah, around this time. Like, you kill off the Heatran, Landers is down to, like, 50%. You weakened off the Greninja, and you let Blacephalon take rocks damage. Yeah, Pinsir wins right here. Like, this is the point where the game's over, essentially. He ended up doing a lot more value. Ended up getting a lot more value with Magearna and with Zygarde and stuff on the after the fact. But like at this point, Pinsir wins. All it has to do is click Swords Dance on the Landorus, and he wins. And Landorus lives rocks anyways, so it's not like that's a problem anyways. So yeah, it's at this point that Pinsir wins. So yeah, fun game, fun game. We've got some interesting matchups for next week. You'll see right there at the top, me versus Tom. That's going to be pretty fun. That's probably going to be the funnest game to watch, I would guess. If we're talking about interesting games to watch, maybe not the most competitive game, I suppose, because me and Tom both like to bring fun things. So it's going to be kind of a bit. It's not going to be a bit of a meme. Like obviously we're both going to try to win, but it's going to be. I can assume there's going to be some interesting things to watch. Vino versus Ethan. That's going to be a very competitive game, I would think. Avon versus Brett. Going to be interesting. Hunter Michael. This is okay. Me and Tom and Hunter Michael are probably going to be the two games to watch if you want to just enjoy your watching experience. I would say because yeah, those two games are going to be very fun to watch. I gotta say, Dawson Wilder don't really know enough to say that much. Kersey Evader is going to be pretty cool as well. So a lot of fun games lined up for week 2. Gotta say that. But yeah, I guess that's everything.